So the point I'm trying to make is going to be like this one here. And about this size, maybe a little larger. But I put the notches too low on this one, and I blew off these ears. They're supposed to be out level with the sides. These ears are supposed to be out level, and these space is supposed to be longer and a little more concave. But anyway, the blade shape is right, and the thinness is right. So I have plenty of room to work with. I'm trying to imitate a real one. I've got a picture of it. I don't have it printed out, but it looks the blade shape looks like it's kind of I would say if you look at the general shape, it's kind of like a pentagonal shape with a concave base. Mine, these kind of droop down. These barbs droop down, but on the real one, it's more straight here on the sides, like this one here, like on this. See how it transitions from being an arc to being almost straight? Well, the base should be sticking out level with this side here instead of being clipped off like this. But anyway, I'll put that aside. This one happened to be a pretty deep cut, so I'm going to use a glove until I get down to a smaller size. Okay. So I'm just going to create a lenticular preform, I'm going to try to keep it as smooth as possible, make it nice and convex. My copper bit is getting pretty beat up, but I'm going to file it down after this smoothing out stage. So it'll be nice and so the bit will be nice and smooth for the thinning flakes. Because everything has to be perfect for the running of the long flakes. Okay. I'm going to try to take a big one here. Nope. See how it kind of dipped inward? There's a lot of force there, but it dipped inward and popped out and didn't do very much. So I had to be just slightly less aggressive, and then peeled it off. This one was too aggressive, which means the angle was too much like this instead of like that. So when it's like this, I was trying to drive it, but it was too much, so I backed off a little bit on the next one and peeled it off a little bit better. Yeah, see, normally that would just go on better quality stone. I'm going to go ahead and take this part off here and make this the tip. And Rhyolite's actually easy to abrade. It doesn't seem like it would be, but it is. I'm not using a commercial abrader, I'm using the quartzite, which seems to work well in combination with the aluminum, the natural abraders. That's really taking a toll on the bit. And a lot of you new guys, you'll be trying to nap a lot of Rhyolite, and after a while you'll notice that your tools will get beat up, and you may not be getting the results, even though you're napping a lot. Not getting good results is because you're wearing out your tools. The bits will get loose very easily on this type of material. So even if you're doing a lot of napping, it does matter how your tools are holding up, because it works against you if your tools are wearing out really fast. And you might think to yourself, I should be progressing as I'm napping more and more of this stuff. Why am I not progressing? Well, it could be because the tools are wearing out and you're getting a lot of looseness in the bits. You're getting some fatigue. You're getting a lot of pitting. So you've got to maintain your tools more often than normal with material like this. You can't have any looseness in the bit whatsoever with this kind of stuff, with hard stones like Rhyolite. And that's the first thing you get is, beat up tools and loose bits. So you have to be keeping an eye out for that sort of thing. Now on some of these I put set screws, like this one here. In fact, on most of mine I put set screws in to see how that would work with the aluminum. I think it's working well, because I'm not seeing any slipping. So that's good. With copper, I don't know, I got a lot of slipping with the set screws. Yeah, normally that would go further, but that's okay. Let's try and get it from the side. Just opportunistic, and when you hit too aggressively, you get that sort of thing. too aggressively for the platform, not too aggressively for the stone itself. It was a right amount of force, it just wasn't a stout enough platform. I think it's important to make that distinction. And it's important that I hit with a solid spot on the bit. I could feel that hit again. If it wasn't for the leather, I think I would have cut myself again there. I don't know if you can see, but I'm starting to develop a gap between the bit and the plastic, and that produces looseness. Which robs a lot of energy out of the strike. I mean, a lot. Okay, nice and rounded. So when it starts to loosen up, I've got to hit harder, and then eventually, even when I'm hitting harder, it's not going to produce good results, and I'll have to make another tool, or cut it off. But this one's already been cut off once. I think it started out at 11 inches, and it's at about 9 maybe. I don't know. It can't get much shorter than this, maybe an inch shorter, one more cut, and that'll be it for this. And what I mean by cut is I cut it off and I re-drill. That way it has a freshly drilled hole for the bit to be very firm. So the edge is too thin. The edge was too thin for that strike. beefing up this edge here because I'm going to strike extremely hard right here to try to take a big piece off. And I don't care if I abrade everything else too, because eventually I'm going to hit all these edges. Yeah, and that's classic Rhyolite difficulty. The edge was still not strong enough, even though I was abrading a lot. So I'm going to take back this edge quite a bit to make it very, very thick before I do some more thinning. Or I'm just going to end up with a lot of these little scoop outs and a lot of these little steps. But yeah, this is classic Rhyolite difficulty. These steps here. The step fractures. I'm actually beveling the edge. Creating a bevel to strike on. Again, classic Rhyolite step fracture. And I have to stop thinking about this and just go ahead and go to town on it. And I think what it is the looseness in the bit, stealing the energy from those strikes, because that was a really good bevel, and you can see no progress at all. Okay, one more time. I'm gonna take it back again one more time, and then see what happens. Well, I'll do a few more strikes, and then I'll take it back. Take some off of this edge again, and bevel it again. Yeah, that's the kind of strike I need. You know, a series of those. And what I did was I turned. See, the gap is on that side, so I can't hit this way because that gap will won't resist this bit. The bit will travel that direction. But if I turn it so that there is no gap on the opposite side of where I strike, then that bit's not going to move. So I'm going to try to keep striking in this direction where there is no gap between the plastic and the bit. I'm going to stop the video here before it cuts out on me and continue on the next.